So my journey starts with
I saw a young man who is a tire retailer. Then whether it was doing projects for my students at IMT Nagpur, where I've been working for the last 14 years now. We did some projects together with your organization and students loved working with you.
So I have this habit of documenting it and it has really helped me. Once I catch hold of an idea, I declare it to the world.
This is exactly where you get your focus back on track.
Exactly.
What is the story behind ADHD? So you know मैं ऐसा क्यों हूँ, जैसे भी हूँ वो मैं ऐसा क्यों हूँ और अब मैं जैसा हूँ उसमें मेरी क्या स्ट्रेंथ्स है या मैं किस तरह से उसको अच्छे से मेरे वीकनेसेस को किस तरह से नेविगेट कर सकता हूँ. So we are here today with Dipesh Ajmera.
Hello.
And yeah, so it is a great experience, Dipesh ji, meeting you always. I think I met you 10 years back in Vidarbha Industries Association.
15 years back.
15 years back. And the kind of journey that you've had in this last 10-12 years is mind-boggling. Okay, and as a behavioral person, a person in this field of management, I have been observing you do some great things all this time. Whenever I go to get my tires changed to the Ajmeras, I take a lot of pride in telling people around me that, you know, this is one man I have seen growing. And I'll not say from zero to hero, because I think you had a sound foundation from your father and grandfather. But still, whatever you got, you have, you know, in many folds, you have kind of amplified it and taken it to a new height. This podcast we are going to do on emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence, Dipesh ji, a short introduction for the sake of our audience, if you don't mind, we can do, which is about understanding your own self, understanding your own emotions, your strengths, your weaknesses, and taking yourself from your weak points or your points of strength to heights that you have not imagined. So understanding is very pivotal. You know, it is a very critical cornerstone of emotional intelligence, self-awareness. So I think I will start discussing on self-awareness as far as this concept of emotional intelligence is concerned. So tell me something about Ajmera Tyres first to our audience, and then we'll get into your awareness space.
So my journey starts with like where I am. I'm going to tell about that. Ajmera Tyres is a firm with we deal in products like tire, battery, oil, and we also have allied services like alignment balancing, puncture repair, nitrogen air, rim straightening, carbon cleaning, AC refilling, and that's our product and services. We are a team of 180 plus people. We are based out of 3 cities, Nagpur, Pune and Amravati. We have 13 outlets and we plan to make it 40 by 2030. So we have this quote saying that do not two ways by 2030, and that is so ingrained in each of us that we repeat it in every meeting, so nobody lets us forget what our goal is. Yeah, so that keeps us on track.
Wonderful. You know what, when I first met you, as I said, I saw a young man who is running is a tire retailer, right? But the gravitas that I saw to the personality, as it is, he's doing more than what he's saying or what we get to see from what he's doing. And then whether it was doing projects for my students at IMT Nagpur, where I've been working for the last 14 years now. We did some projects together with your organization and students loved working with you. And they came and they saw and they were, you know, hooked onto your style of communicating and telling and talking about business. Basically, the sense of business that you bring, the business acumen that you bring to the table was what students told me when they came back from the visit and the project, that is what will stay with us. So this business acumen of yours, okay, is one part of the story. And whatever you got from your father and grandfather, you took that ahead. So that means you had some driving force, some motivation. As we technical definition of motivation is, the drive, the driving force. So how this marriage happened, this driving force that you had in you to do something big in life. You are a very ambitious person, I know that, inside out. Okay, and the business acumen that you had to develop of this business, because you were into offset printing and all those things, if I remember clearly. So how did this marriage happen? And share something on these lines.
So basically, I would give credit to my ADHD for that. My ADHD, I realized it 1 year back that I have severe ADHD, but I would really like to give it a credit. I am a very introvert kind of a person. My relationship always shouts at me, baat hi nahi karta. So I'm a kind of a person, if I'm talking to you, I'll connect as if I know you very well.
Correct.
But I won't continue the relationship kind of a thing, or I won't connect on regular basis kind of a thing. But whenever I connect like old lost friends kind of a thing. So that's how it is. So ADHD typically has a lot of advantages and disadvantages. One is relationship. And the other one is especially the focus area. So you have a severe attention deficit problem. So, but you are very good at solution giving. That is one big advantage. You have out of box thinking. You can come out with solutions that nobody can even think of. So my procurement guy always sits on the negotiation tables with my vendor, and he has the dialogue for me that जहाँ से लोगों की सोच बंद होती है वहाँ से तुम्हारी चालू होती है kind of thing. So, and there's one side there's a lack of focus, and the other side there's an intense focus. So when I get into something, it is like I remember one incident wherein I thought, अरे यार 1 घंटे का ही तो काम है. I sat down out in my home office 10 बजे around 10:30 के आसपास, and when I looked up it was 5 o'clock in the morning.
Achha.
So I didn't even realize time and stuff like that. So then there's one side it's intense focus, but regular mein there's attention deficit. So you end up wavering and stuff like that. But what I did was, I do not know how I developed this habit. But every week I used to go to restaurants, sit there for 2 hours, 3 hours, and just think over what's happening with me, where do I want to go, and I used to take a drink and just sit down and chill. And when I used to work in the factory, so it was used to be a Wednesday because that was the holiday was. But then over a period of time I started realizing that when you think and look back, so I'll give you one example. Where do you have those eureka moments most?
I think in most unexpected situations.
Normally it's a lot of people have it as in bathrooms.
And it is,
where they don't have anything else to do.
Yes.
Either in the shower or
yes.
in a commode or something of that sort, because
serendipitous.
You are just with yourself.
You don't know it will happen. It is serendipitous. You're going somewhere else and it is coming from somewhere else. All of a sudden.
But then that moment wherein you are alone, and that span of time which you spend yourself alone, and that's where solutions hit you.
Yes.
So I just expanded it to I have this something called BWI days, be with yourself kind of a thing. So I expanded to 3 days now. The small 2 hours thing which I used to do once a week, I expanded to 3 days. So I take myself off and go and just think on
things.
I call it HRF, which is health, relationship, enjoyment and finances.
Wonderful.
So what I do is I go through all the 4 aspects. Then I have this concept called, I don't start with where I am at the present. I start with, if there's any problem, I start with what should be the ideal, then what should be the present, then what is the gap, and then what are the actionables for it. And then you come out with something as actionables, and then you work on it for next quarter. You go back again for BWI days, rework it. If you have not done it, again go back. So 2 things which really stand out is consistency. I have this habit of documenting things. And if you document things, you can go back to it again and again. But when you don't document it, what happens is a lot of thoughts come to your mind and go away.
Correct.
So those are good thoughts, bad thoughts, whatever.
Right.
But a lot of ideas also come to your mind and go away. But when you document it, and I have this to-do list in place where my assistant gets fed up with it because it goes on and on and on. जरा सा ध्यान नहीं दिया या जरा सा लैग आ गया तो it goes to 50, 100 kind of a thing.
Correct.
So I have this habit of documenting it, and it has really helped me. The other thing which I do more or less is once I catch hold of an idea, I declare it to the world.
Wow. Now that's something that I can bring some, connect to this from theory also. A theory of motivation, we call it self-efficacy, theory of motivation. It talks about one of the aspects, one of the components of that theory is about this. If you declare it to the world, the chances of you doing that thing becomes more.
So let's say with 13 stores, 200 people, I am a big businessman. But when I say I want 40 stores, 1,000 people, I have put a reverse gun on my head.
Correct.
Telling that, अरे बातें करता था,
हुआ तो नहीं, कब होगा?
So now, or then people start asking you also,
Correct.
कब कर रहे हो, क्या plan है, what is the next year's plan? Even the team would probe you on it.
I think it's a great point, Dipesh, because this is exactly where you get your focus back on track.
Exactly. So I know my weaknesses, I know my strength. I have the strength of consistency, but I have weakness of attention. So what I do is I declare it, I write it down somewhere. I write it somewhere where I can see it again and again. If the goal is bigger, like 202 base pan India by 2030, I'll declare it to all people. I have board paster around in the office. So anybody from outside coming in, I have a document telling that I want to do this, and I share it with people. So anybody would come in, whenever I meet him again, क्या हुआ?
क्या हुआ? Can you just spell it? Can you say it more clearly? What is that goal that you have for the next few years? What is that?
That is 202.
202. Okay.
Base pan India by 2030.
Great. Wonderful. Right. Yeah. Please go on. Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens is people make you do it. So normally I have this habit wherein I understand that I cannot focus or I am not disciplined. So I have people around me to support me to make me do things. So my schedules are so jam-packed. The routine is so set that there's no scope of me wavering around.
Okay.
And that's how I manage things. So continuously, inch by inch, I mean, you go through a same path again and again.
Yes.
Ultimately you reach your destination.
Where did this realization, you said it's just a year back that you have discovered this challenge or this state of being, okay, let us call it like that. How did this discovery happen? What led to this discovery? What is the story behind ADHD?
I mean, it was by default. Like I said that I used to sit for 2 hours every week with myself, without any friends, without anybody, alone. So that's where you start realizing, okay, I have this fault. I'm weak on this side.
On your own, you have found out? Or you took some?
I did not find out on my own. I found out through my psychiatrist.
Correct.
But navigating ADHD was by default.
Correct. So I think over a period of time, because you've been managing your business very successfully, you reflected upon how you've been doing that and then kind of strengthened those moves or brought more gravitas to those actions of yours so that now you can do it more confidently. So you know मैं ऐसा क्यों हूँ, जैसे भी हूँ वो मैं ऐसा क्यों हूँ और अब मैं जैसा हूँ उसमें मेरी क्या स्ट्रेंथ्स है या मैं किस तरह से उसको अच्छे से मेरे वीकनेसेस को किस तरह से नेविगेट कर सकता हूँ.
I'll tell you a story why people are not able to navigate their problems.
Yeah.
Is there was this guy sitting on his rocking chair in the evening by the farmhouse and he was having a good sunset, looking at sunset and stuff like that. Suddenly एक friend आता है and then he says आजा बहुत अच्छे टाइम पर आया है, मैंने चाय पकौड़े बोले ही है, मैं क्वांटिटी बढ़ा देता हूँ. तो इट वॉज लाइक अरे 2 प्लेट कर डालना, चाय भी ज़्यादा कर देना, ठीक है. And they are sitting and having a chit chat and stuff like that. Good 35-40 minutes goes by, and then suddenly the friend realizes there's a dog sitting beside him and he's continuously whining. कर रहा है वो बीच बीच में. तो बोलता है ये डॉग बार बार ऐसा क्यों कर रहा है? तो बोलता है जहाँ वो बैठा है ना उसको वो चुभ रहा है.
ओके.
तो बोलता है उठ क्यों नहीं जाता? तो बोले इतना भी नहीं चुभ रहा कि उठ जाए.
अच्छा.
सो एवरी डे पीपल सफ़र विद प्रॉब्लम्स, दे फायर फाइट इट. उस टाइम के लिए वो 1 मिनट ध्यान देकर उसको फायर फाइट कर कर उसको बुझा देते हैं.
करेक्ट.
बट दे डोंट फाइंड अ परमानेंट सोल्यूशन टू द होल थिंग. एंड दैट्स व्हाट कीप्स. अच्छा तुम्हारा टाइम मैनेज नहीं हो रहा, तुम 2 मिनट ज़्यादा काम करोगे, थक जाओगे, कुछ करोगे, एंड देन यू जस्ट मूव ऑन इन लाइफ. लेकिन उसके लिए अगर जो तुमको 2 घंटे बिताने पड़े या उसका सोल्यूशन ढूंढने के लिए
प्लान करना पड़े,
आई मीन सोल्यूशन ढूंढने के लिए टाइम निकालना पड़े, तो यू डोंट हैव दैट टाइम इन प्लेस, और यू डोंट हैव द प्रायोरिटी. टाइम इज नेवर अ availability, it's always a priority.
It's always a priority. You must have definitely come across this Stephen Covey's concept of time management. It's very widely.
I've done that course also.
Oh, you've done that course, 7 Habits.
7 Habits of
great,
Highly
effective.
Effective People.
Wonderful.
Best selling course.
So it talks about those urgent and important and not urgent and not important, like to do, not need to do, and all those things. I agree with you, because we all know this theoretically. Maybe we do courses, we read about it and all that, but very few people can actually put that learning to use and have the. I think you used a wonderful word, consistency. That's a brilliant thing. To be consistent on something, it takes, I think, something really big inside yourself. एक बहुत अच्छा, कल मैं मिलिंद सोमन का एक वीडियो देख रही थी. वो कह रहा था कि इट्स अबाउट, लोग कहते हैं कि हमारी बॉडी मतलब ये है, क्या कहते हैं, वीक है. कहते हैं बॉडी वीक नहीं है, बॉडी इज़ डूइंग सो मेनी थिंग्स इन एन ऑटोनॉमस एंड ऑटो पायलट मोड. खाना पच रहा है, तुम्हारी सांसें चल रही है, हार्ट बीट हो रहा है. मन जो है उसको अगर आपने एक आपको कमांड देना है सिस्टम को कि मुझे सुबह उठना है, मुझे एक्सरसाइज करना है, तो वो एक चीज़ अगर आपने मन में अगर ठान ली तो बॉडी तो अपने आप सारा चीज़ ऑलरेडी कर ही रहा है. इट विल फॉलो, बट इट इज़ द मन, इट इज़ दैट डिटर्मिनेशन, दैट ग्रिट, दैट आई थिंक दैट पावर ऑफ थॉट, दैट इज़ व्हाट आई थिंक यू आर ट्राइंग टू टॉक अबाउट.
जब आपकी बॉडी जवाब देती है तो आपने बोलना चाहिए कि नहीं, लेट्स डू इट. जब आपकी बॉडी और आप खुद जवाब देते हो तब आपका मन बोलना चाहिए नहीं, आपने करना ही है. एंड दैट्स हाउ यू कीप गोइंग.
Great.
And that's how you achieve the greatness. All people who have achieved something in life have been consistent on certain things.
Certain things.
हर आदमी है ना एक ही चीज़ के लिए फेमस होता है, वो मल्टी फैसेट नहीं होता. एक क्रिकेटर रहेगा तो क्रिकेट में फेमस होगा, वो आपको गोल्फ में भी बेटर प्लेयर दिख रहा है या फुटबॉल में भी दिख रहा है, ऐसा नहीं होता.
ऐसा नहीं होता.
इवन फॉर दैट मैटर क्रिकेटर भी जो रहता है उसको भी आप देखोगे तो वो आइदर बॉलिंग के लिए या फील्डिंग के लिए या फिर बैटिंग के लिए फेमस होता है. सो everybody has that specific niche.
Correct.
And if you focus on your niche, you do wonders and you achieve heights. But if you are deviated, then there is no way you can go less.
I think you've talked a very important, touched a very important aspect, Dipesh जी. ये हम लोग आजकल जो हमारा एक दौर चढ़ा है ना कि ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में बोलो या कहीं पे भी सब में सब चीज़ करना चाहिए, सबको सब आना चाहिए. इट कैन नॉट बी, इज
Jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades.
Master of none.
And then yes, you become master of none. And if you don't have many masters, then you can't really grow as a community, society, unit, whichever context you may be in, I think. Isn't it?
I agree, but then ये भी प्रेशर रहता है कि तुमको ये नहीं आता, तुमको वो नहीं आता, तुमको ये. Then you have to learn to face those pressures also.
Yeah.
So
how do you do that? Can we have some discussion in this space? कि ये डिबेट है ना, एक तराजू के एक इस में बोला जा रहा है कि आपको सब कुछ आना चाहिए. ओके, शुड बी लाइक वी सेड जैक ऑफ ऑल ट्रेड्स. एक सोच ऐसी है कि हो नहीं सकता है वो, भाई इंसान एक ही चीज़ बहुत अच्छा कर सकता है. ये बैलेंसिंग एक्ट एज अ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन लीडर फ्रॉम दैट लेंस, प्लीज़ शेयर योर थॉट्स कि आप एम्प्लॉयज़ में कैसे इस तरह से कैसे करते हो मैनेज.
I really don't, I'm not able to put words to it, but जिसको बोलते हैं अनसुना कर देना, that's how it works. अब मुझे मालूम है कि मेरे से रिलेशनशिप मेंटेन नहीं होते, लोग चिल्लाते हैं, कई बार लोगों को बुरा लगता है, लोग समझ नहीं पाते। अब मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ? आई डोंट गेट अफेक्टेड बाई इट. It is the only thing you have a bigger picture or a bigger goal in place, and you stop getting affected by what people think about you or feel about you, kind of a thing. That's how you can protect yourself. Otherwise तुम लोगों के thoughts और लोगों के ताने पर या लोगों के बोलने पर जाओगे तो those are all very fragile. जब मैं कुछ अचीव कर लूँगा तो लोग बोलेंगे वाओ क्या विजनरी था, लेकिन यही मैं अगर जो बोलकर कुछ अचीव नहीं कर पाता हूँ, सपोजिंग टू बेस में अचीव नहीं कर पाता हूँ, लोग बोलेंगे क्या बेवकूफ़ था, कुछ भी बातें करता है.
करेक्ट. हाउ मच
सो यू हैव टू टेक दैट perception or that consequences into stride and then work around it.
Wonderful. Yeah, very true. I think most of us get lot of pressure from outside, from the ecosystem, और हम लोग उसको नेविगेट नहीं कर पाते हैं. बहुत ज़्यादा हम लोग उससे बॉक डाउन फील करते हैं. वी फील दैट प्रेशर of expectation from us, I think largely, which drains us to a large extent. To insulate yourself from that pressure and keep your focus on what you want to do, I think is a great key to what you want to do in life.
क्या होता है, इंसान को appreciation चाहिए होता है.
बिल्कुल चाहिए होता है. एक theoretically हम कहते हैं दीपेश जी कि all of us have two needs. All of us by default. One is to get understood. I want that people should understand me, like that everybody feels the same. And other is to feel respected, which is acknowledged. Everybody wants to be recognized and rewarded, appreciated.
I call it, every organization has only 3 pillars of culture. I've not read books, but I call it either they should be recognized, they should be rewarded, or they should be penalized. These are the only 3 pillars of culture. Any organization, any home, अगर जो मेरी बिरादरी चोरों की है तो मेरे यहाँ पर अप्रिसिएशन क्या होगा? जितनी बड़ी चोरी करूँगा वो बड़ा अप्रिसिएशन है.
करेक्ट.
एंड मैं और बड़ी चोरी करने का सोचूंगा, इररिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ एथिकल क्या है. बट मेरी बिरादरी का कल्चर ये रहेगा कि जितना बड़ा वो मैं चोरी करूँगा उतना मैं रिकग्नाइज रहूँगा. तो दैट वुड व्हाट मोटिवेशन इज. So it is all about RRP, recognize, reward or penalize. So appreciation 2 जन कर सकते हैं आप, एक बाहर वाले, एक अंदर. So अगर जो बाहर वाले नहीं करते तो अंदर ही अपने आप को अप्रिशिएट करो, बिकॉज तुमको तो मालूम है तुम कहाँ स्टैंड कर रहे हो.
Wonderful. How do you do that for yourself?
I remember this small story wherein मेरे लिए बहुत बड़ी बात थी कि मैं 12th फर्स्ट क्लास से पास हुआ हूँ, काइंड ऑफ थिंग. लोगों के लिए बहुत छोटी बात थी, दे डिड नॉट इवन अंडरस्टैंड इट. बट मेरा स्कूलिंग वॉज नेवर ग्रेट. आई नेवर हैड इवन 60% भी मार्क्स लेना मेरे लिए बहुत डिफ़िकल्ट था बिकॉज ऑफ ADHD. तो एंड समहाउ इन 10th and 12th I had bounded myself to a room and locked myself and studied hard and stuff like that and got 60% marks, and that was really amazing for me. I could never solve a paper above, I always left 20 marks का पेपर तो वैसे ही छूट जाता था.
You had climbed your own Mount Everest. You had already.
So अब वो लोग तो appreciate नहीं कर सकते.
नहीं कर सकते.
So I brought a card for myself, 21 bum salute from Dipesh to Dipesh.
Wonderful.
And I was very happy with it.
Great.
So उस ज़माने में sometimes the parents used to forget birthdays and stuff like that. So एक दिन मेरे को बहुत गुस्सा आया मॉर्निंग में, तो मैंने बहुत रोया कि किसी को मेरा बर्थडे याद नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं है. बोला सब तेल पीने जाए, मैं एक काम करता हूँ, मेरे लिए खुद के लिए बर्थडे केक लेकर आया, ऊपर लिखा हुआ था टू फ्रॉम दिपेश टू दिपेश. एंड आई अप्रिशिएटेड माई सेल्फ. आई नेवर वेंट फॉर पीपल टू अप्रिशिएट मी एंड स्टफ लाइक दैट. And that's fine. You need appreciation, you appreciate yourself and move on in life. Why do you want people to?
ये बहुत अच्छी चीज़ आपने कही, बिकॉज सेल्फ मोटिवेशन की बात कर रहे हैं आप, जो अभी बात कर रहे हैं इज़ एक्चुअली इन द प्रेमाइस ऑफ सेल्फ मोटिवेशन, जो एक बहुत बड़ा पिलर है एंड बढ़िया पिलर है ऑफ इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस. क्योंकि अगर हम बाहर से एक्सटर्नल रिवॉर्ड्स के लिए हमेशा वेट करते रहेंगे, जो कि बहुत बार नहीं आते हैं, और
नहीं आते, टाइम से नहीं आते, लोग समझ नहीं पाते,
और जिनसे आने चाहिए उनसे भी नहीं आते कभी मोस्टली रादर. तो बहुत सारे एस्पेक्ट्स है उसमें.
बट देन इफ यू लुक एट फ्रॉम देयर पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, तुमने क्या उसको बताया, तुमने क्या
हो
उसकी
सकता है
लैंग्वेज
that
में
person
बात
is not
किया,
even aware of, yeah.
उनको अवेयरनेस नहीं थी तुम्हारे साथ क्या बीत रही है, या तुम्हारा बेंचमार्क क्या था जिसके लिए तुमको अप्रिसिएशन चाहिए, उसका बेंचमार्क अलग था, तुम्हारा बेंचमार्क अलग था. जैसे आई टोल्ड कि 60% फॉर मी वाज अ बिग डील.
Big deal. I think this amount of self-awareness is something really great, Dipesh ji. So, what you were talking about is so true कि हम लोग अगर खुद ही को understand करें, understand what are your limitations, what are your worths, and what have you achieved given your challenges, and then, salute your own self and say, great, good job. This is what you need to do, and you've done it well. Come on, now, next step.
So I do one more thing which is really people should do is, whenever I meet people, wherever I go, I would end up asking one question. Give me 2 things you liked about me or the event or whatever was happening there, and 2 things you want to change. I don't use the negative word.
Correct.
Positive and negative kind of a thing.
Very
और
true.
अच्छा क्या था, बुरा क्या था. I use what do you like to change, and I lock them at only 2 sentences or 2 in points. So a lot of people फटाफट जो दिमाग में आता है वो बोल देते हैं क्योंकि 2 ही points है.
Correct.
And I don't give them that chance. So उससे I take lot of feedbacks, and then it helps me to improve.
Wonderful.
So I took it from my employees, and then I came out that there were 60 things they wanted me to change. I ended up changing 40. But that is something which people appreciate because हाँ मैंने बोला था और सर ने किया. And it was so easy for me to change because मेरे को सामने फीडबैक वैसा मिल रहा था.
Correct.
मेरे दिमाग में कभी नहीं आएगा कि वो उसका परसेप्शन क्या है. So when you ask people, it really helps you to develop as a better person.
I think you have touched a very important aspect. Technically हम उसको जोहारी विंडो या बहुत सारे मॉडल्स हैं मैनेजमेंट थ्योरी में जिसमें हम कहते हैं कि I don't know but you know about me, which is actually a blind spot. I don't know about myself but you know about me. तो 4 उसके कॉन्सेप्ट्स है. I know, you know is the public area. So I also know about myself and you also know certain thing about me, which is the public part. I don't know about myself, but you know about me is what you were talking about, the blind spot, where feedback really helps. Okay. And the third is, I also don't know, you also don't know, because I have never ventured into that. I have never explored that dimension of my life. So you all will also not know that, okay, I can do that. And the last one is, I know about myself, but you don't know, which is a secret, which is okay. कि भाई मेरे कोई सीक्रेट्स हो सकते हैं जो मैं कभी भी किसी से भी शेयर ना करूं, लेकिन पूरी की पूरी पर्सनालिटी अगर आपकी सीक्रेटिव हो जाएगी, वेयर पीपल कांट रियली सी थ्रू यू, देन यू डू नॉट बिल्ड दैट ट्रस्ट, then people don't believe you for the kind of work that they want to do with you.
But then for this I have this solution which I did was, I have, like, your life has different aspects. So what I do is I share different aspects with different people who associate with that aspect or that part of my life. And I can really open up to them, talk to them and discuss and sort it out, or take appreciation or give appreciation, and it's done. So I don't try to have one person with
for all the things.
For all the things. I have maybe 5-10 friends with different aspects, with different thought processes.
Great.
And it really helps me out.
No, that's a great idea. It is said, don't put all your eggs in one basket anyways, and then it becomes the sole source.
All people don't understand you as a one person. They don't have that mindset, or they don't have that one lens to map you completely. People have different lenses. You go to them, आप वो लेंस के थ्रू उसको देखो, आप देखो, and then it works fantastic.
Wonderful, very nice. I think in this discussion we have touched through your stories and experiences on social skills also, and I think it has come, all this entire discussion is coming from the lens of ADHD. I think it's a very unique aspect of this discussion.
Almost 30 people suffer from it. So
almost 30% of the population any point of time.
I came to know just 1 year back, that is when I was 51.
But you're doing it, you are able to appreciate that. Not only acknowledge but appreciate that, and you've taken it to another level by managing it well. I think it's fantastic thing for the audience also to understand that there is nothing like a stopping, there's nothing like a hindrance. Even if we label it rather properly and understand the nuances, we can deal with it.
Basically, you have something. So something is in your control and some things is not in your control. So don't look at things which are not in your control. Just know it that this is not in my control.
Correct. And as we
So
like,
whatever
yeah.
is in your control, like ADHD has some beautiful things which the other people don't have, like out of box thinking. They are very good at it. They have intense ability to focus intensely on detailing, which other people cannot.
Miss. Right.
ADHD would have problems with
Correct,
it.
correct.
They are able to focus on other things better, but here intense focus, people really are deprived of intense focus. They are not able to do it. Here I can just look at my work and look at my clock again, and it's 5 o'clock, from 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock, like I said. And it is 7 hours and I don't realize the time.
Correct, correct. No,
So
as
is
we,
a plus for me, because whenever
Yeah.
I get into some projects, I go into so much of detail, templatize it, work around it, that I can delegate that whole thing to my team and they take it on. So that works wonderful. That is an advantage of ADHD. So work on the strength side of anything
Yeah.
which
Correct,
is there,
correct.
rather than from the weakness side. And I mean, अपने आप को कोस कर कोई
get
फायदा नहीं
drained
होता.
by it. So like, yeah, we would like to correct ourselves the way we said earlier. So people don't suffer from ADHD, they just have it like any other, aspect of their
Like
personality.
मेरी हाइट अगर जो 5'8" है तो 5'8" है.
Hey, exactly. I have this height.
So I should rather choose a sports which would suit me rather than
Yeah.
choose a basketball kind of a sport which would not suit
It will
me.
not work for you, maybe. Yeah, true, correct. So we were discussing on the lines of being aware about your own self, whether it is emotions. And so at emotional level and at cognitive level, both the levels, I think you've discussed very wonderfully when it comes to emotional intelligence. And you talked about self-motivation, you talked about self-management, you've talked about self-regulation and empathy. Now let's have a short discussion on how do you practice empathy, because empathy is something is easier said than done, like most of the concepts in life. I know something about somebody. You've talked about empathy from a very different perspective when you talked about अच्छा ये ऐसा है, मेरे साथ ADHD है, रिलेशनशिप में प्रॉब्लम होता है, तो मुझे इस तरह से you empathized with your own self in the first place. You did not label it, you did not get drained with it, you understood it properly. How do you practice this with people in your organization? It's not about ADHD, it's about people's challenges, people personalities. How do you empathize? To what extent you think you can go?
I have a very strong conviction on it in terms of if you want to empathize with a person, if you don't go through his journey a little bit, you cannot empathize. It's very
Correct.
difficult to empathize with
Very
him.
well said.
I mean, the way I live, I cannot imagine how my God would be living his life just by sitting here. वो ऐसा करता होगा, that's not possible. Maybe some aspect of it I can empathize, but not all of it. His journey is his journey, my journey is my journey. Unless and until I've come from a very low level area, and then so I would rather ask questions, go into details. So I did this wonderful course which was all about how to ask right questions.
Wow, you're talking about what? Action learning or appreciative inquiry or what?
No, it has more to do with life coaching.
Okay, life
So
coaching.
in life coaching, there's this concept which says that you cannot answer the
in
question
coaching,
of that person.
In coaching, we do that's all you can do is
Exactly.
ask right questions.
So
Which again, it is easier said than done.
Yeah. So it is all about that the person who has the problem also has the answer.
Correct.
And your job as a life coach is to ask right kind of questions so that you can take that answer out of him.
Brilliant.
And that is the aha moment for that person.
Yeah.
And that is the job of a life coach. So that's what I do for empathy, which is asking the right questions again. I mean, I would ask it from this side, that side kind of a thing, so that I have the complete 360-degree angle.
Correct.
And then try and do the most of it.
Wonderful. I think it was brilliant talking to you, Dipesh ji, today. And thank you so much for having such a simple yet very, very deep, intensely connecting discussion on emotional intelligence today. And I really wish you all the very best.
Thank you, Smita.
And I've been an admirer of you as a person, Ajmera Tyres as an organization.
Thank you.
And so thank you very much once again, and hope to see you soon.
See you soon.
ऐसे ही और पॉडकास्ट के लिए मेरे साथ जुड़े रहिए in my podcast channel named EI Corridor with Smita. Thank you.